Welcome to the Sumner County Sports Show. I am your host, Blaine Kellar, not Zach Womble from a few weeks back. A little bit of a change in command going on here in Sumner County with the Hendersonville Standard, Gallatin News, and Portland Sun. I am your new Sumner County sports editor. And before we get started on this first show here, I think it'd be only fair to do a little bit of an introduction. A brief one, because you're not here for me, you're here for the athletes, you're here for the teams, and everything involving Sumner County sports. So a little about me. I graduated from Austin P in May of 2022, started work with Main Street Media, Main Street Preps, and the Robertson County Connection in November of 2021. I'm still pretty young, but super excited to do this, really grateful for this opportunity. And I think this is my third or fourth week kind of going into the newspaper aspect of Sumner County, and now getting started with the Sumner County Sports Show, which is brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. We're going to get started today talking a little spring sports action with Hendersonville baseball coach Justin Martin, who joins us now. Coach Martin, how are we?
Doing really well. You?
I'm great. I'm glad for you to join us. Glad to be here. And it's an exciting time for your Hendersonville team in your first season as head coach. The Commandos are off to an 8-3 start after a nice win against McGavick last night. Just to start off, how do you feel like your team has kind of attacked this start to the season?
Well, everything's new this year. From me being the new head coach, taking over for a legend like Coach Hendricks, who did it for over 30 years, as well as graduating 11 seniors off a super talented team from last year. We just have had a lot of new people and a lot of new positions. So it's been, fun trying to figure out all the pieces and where they go. And the kids have really worked hard and competed and show up every day, giving their best and just continue to do that. So it's been good. It's been real good so far.
You spent a long time in the high school baseball ranks here. You were head coach at Portland, head coach at Springfield, where I was telling our producer, Justin Kulik, where I was a student whenever you were a teacher and coach there. And last year at Hendersonville. How do you feel like those stops all together have prepared you for this first year as a head coach here in Sumner County?
Oh, every position that I've had is benefited me for today. I've grown a lot and learned a lot. I started out as a head coach. 16 plus years ago, and my 20s, and I'm a way different and a way better baseball coach, mentor, leader today as 40 plus year old. So, there's been a lot of experiences from my previous stops that have helped me, get ready for this position. So it's been good.
Yeah, and learning from Mike Hendricks last year, as you mentioned, the legendary Hendersonville baseball coach that ended off his tenure with a bang, leading Hendersonville to the state tournament last year. What do you feel like the most important thing you learned from him was in taking this new role?
Well, one thing he did that was super beneficial is he gave me the opportunity, and then he allowed me the opportunity to coach. This year I've got several assistant coaches. In some of my previous stops, it was just me and one other coach. So watching Coach Hendricks and being a part of his staff and how he let the assistant coaches coach and let them have a voice and a say in how the things were done and how the program was run, has helped me this year, and I lean on my assistants a lot. We've got a really good staff here. And watching him do that last year has enabled me to kind of, loosen up the reins. I don't make all the decisions. We work together. It's a co-coaching unit. A lot of communication goes into every decision. And I think that's been the best thing. Watching him do that last year, and then me kind of going, okay, this is really beneficial. So
Can you kind of think of an example of where he did that with you, where he gave you a little bit more freedom as an assistant, maybe that kind of opened your eyes to doing that yourself this year?
Well, early on, I went to him and I had kind of some base running ideas and some thoughts and approaches. And he goes, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. First 10 minutes of every practice, or if you need longer or less, 5 to 15 minutes of every practice, you're going to go over the base running emphasis of that day. And that was huge. I went to him with an idea. He listened, and then he trusted me to, instill that and implement that philosophy into our team.
Kind of taking last season and the successes that you guys had as a staff, as a unit, as a program, and looking at the first 11 games this year, what do you feel like some strengths of your team are early on, and maybe even some weaknesses that you've kind of determined out of losses?
Strengths are we're extremely deep on the mound, and that's important. Being able to run different pitchers out there that give you an opportunity to win and throw strikes, and it's kind of been a pillar of Hendersonville baseball for a long time. So that's definitely one of our strengths, and kind of carried over from last year, and guys accepting their roles this year. One of the surprises is we've been swinging the bat pretty well. We were real unsure this year, graduating so many, how we were going to swing the bats. And so far this year, we've been very competitive at the plate. Again, I think that's Coach Dan Stevens, our assistant coach, has kind of come in and really put an emphasis on our hitting. And I think you see it early on in the first 11 games. And so that's been a real pleasant surprise. So super excited about that. Our weaknesses are just our inexperience. A lot of times when we have situational things that arise throughout a game, you can see the lack of experience show up at times. But we have done a good job of just continuing to play and continue to compete. So it's been something that we're aware of and we work at.
And making the run that you guys did last year to make it to the state tournament and really send Coach Hendricks off with a bang, how do you feel like that maybe helps with the inexperience a little bit, with those guys who didn't get that opportunity maybe, but were in the dugout and got to see a deep postseason run in Murfreesboro?
No, it's huge. I mean, being a part of that team and those guys that didn't necessarily get to play, but they were there and they were along for the ride, and they saw the guys graduate on the field after a region championship, sub-state championship versus Ravenwood. Those moments, I can't recreate, but they got to experience them. They were in the dugouts for those opportunities. They saw the senior class graduate on the field, after a huge win. So they have that taste in their mouth, and that's something that they would love to do again. And they understand that it's going to be difficult, but those lessons I couldn't have given them.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to see as a reporter, whether it be no matter where it is in the mid-state, is that sectional game where you get to see that winning team maybe get the opportunity to throw their caps up and on the field, because they miss out. A lot of them miss out on that graduation that happens during the game. That kind of take me back to that experience and kind of getting that opportunity with Hendersonville last year, especially with such a big senior class.
Yeah, it was amazing. I've never been a part of that. Never been this deep in the postseason as any of my previous stops, and knowing that graduation was that night, knowing that we had Ravenwood, you got the focus of graduation, the excitement of graduation. I mean, that's an exciting time for all seniors, is graduation. But then you add that in with a huge home victory versus a really good Ravenwood team in an amazing baseball game. I mean, it was it was really awesome. It was really neat to see. And we had 11 seniors who got that opportunity to enjoy that victory, knowing that you get to go to state. Then you get to graduate on the field. The families, the school support there from our principal and athletic director. It was just an amazing scene.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier with the offense of this team, and it surprising you a little bit. Going into this first district series against McGavock, you had 6 players that were hitting 400 or better. Rowan State Community College commit Sawyer Dominic led the pack with a 556 average. What have you kind of seen out of that offense, and maybe Sawyer in particular?
Well, a lot of those guys are just been chomping at the bit. They didn't get to play a lot last year. I mean, we had juniors on the junior varsity team last year because they were just behind other teams or other players, and so a lot of them are just excited. They've worked really hard in the off season. They've done a lot of they've put a lot of thought into what they're doing and their approach, and they have a plan, and they've just been really excited to play. Sawyer just loves to play, and he just, hey, he's ready to go. He's ready right now, and he's got to wait till 7:00 tonight. So he's fun to coach for sure.
Maybe some of those other guys that are probably fun to coach are other college commitments that you guys have on your team, like Morris going to Belmont, Caden Wilkes, Middle Tennessee. Is it Cole Nice? How you say that last name there?
Cole Nitch.
I knew I was going to say that wrong.
That's hard.
Tennessee State. Just those 4 guys on top of Sawyer. How have those guys kind of made the transition, both with a new head coach and really a new team after graduating so many players, easier?
It's been obviously it's helped out a lot to have some talent like those guys. You got Caden Wilkes has really stepped into the leadership role, and he's been one of our best hitters, and hit a huge grand slam against Mount Juliet the other night to give us a big victory. And so seeing him kind of take that leadership role has really helped. Cole Nitch has pitched well. He's going to get a few innings tonight, and he continues to grow and develop. Another guy who only saw, about 5 innings last year, had a little arm trouble, so he's getting back into it, and he's real excited. Lake Morris, Belmont commit, very dominant on the mound, and was last night. But he has helped us a ton at the plate. He's another one of those guys that you talked about that's, hitting over 400. And it's really his first time to have ABs. He was a pitcher only really for us last year. Now he's, going to start in left field tonight, batting a 6-hole and give us some good at bats. Yeah, there's a big hit right there. But yeah, so a lot of those guys. You got a guy like Mason Baker. I mean, quarterback for the football team. He's a quarterback for us, leadoff center fielder guy who just shows up, works hard, great teammate. Love him. Players love him. It's outstanding. I mean, my son loved him. My son shows up to the ball field. Him and Mason are like little buddies over there, throwing ball, picking at each other, wrestling, whatever. So, those guys have been outstanding, and it helps to have them for sure.
We've got 2 more for you here, Coach. One, a little bit about that pitching staff that you kind of touched on. Through your first 10 games, 95 strikeouts as a staff. Not much of a statistician to know that's nine a game. More than that. Has there been any emphasis on punching guys out in particular?
No, I mean, our emphasis is throw the ball over the plate. Throw strikes. And the more you throw strikes, the better results you're going to get. There's no secret to that. Every baseball coach will tell you that. And once we, throw strikes, now we learn how to throw it where we want it, when we want to. And some of those guys have really taken off. Lake was really good last night at with his slider and putting kids away. He would get ahead in the count, and then sliders were just, ending the at bat. So, but the more you throw strikes, the harder it is for the opponents. When you don't throw strikes, then they can lay off the slider, and then they sit on the fastball, and it changes the whole dynamic. So they've done a good job of pounding the zone.
You all won the District 10 4A title last season over Beach. You won a lot more than that, obviously getting to the state tournament. How do you feel like the district stacks up this season, just looking at the teams around you?
Well, the district is tough. It's one of the toughest in the states of Tennessee. I mean, last year we finished in a 4-way tie at the end of the regular season with Gallatin, Station Camp, Beach, and us. You got coin flips and all kinds of craziness. And it's going to be similar this year. I mean, you saw last night, Beach beat Gallatin 1-0. When Gallatin, Beach, Station Camp, Hendersonville all play each other, it's just going to be great baseball in Middle Tennessee, and one of the best districts in the state. I mean, it is tough. If you can get out of this district, you've got a chance. And you've seen that the last few years. We went to state last year. The year before that, it was Beach, and if you can get out of this district, you got a chance to make a nice postseason run. And it's going to be really tough. Station Camp is unbelievable right now, 10-0. I mean, putting up 20 runs a game, it seems like, and not giving up any. I mean, it's going to be tough. And there's a lot of talent here. I mean, every team has Division I baseball players all over the roster. And even some of their young guys that we don't even know their names right now, and they're super talented. So it's just an amazing district. It's going to be highly competitive. It's going to be fun. To have all your fans, tell all your fans, get out there and watch it, because it's going to be good. I mean, Gallatin at Beach tonight is going to be huge. McGavock tonight, they're running a kid out there that throws 90 miles an hour against us. I mean, it's going to be good baseball.
Well, you mentioned Beach Gallatin. That's where I'm going to be tonight. But Coach, really appreciate your time today, taking some time this afternoon, and hope to see you soon sometime in the next few weeks as the spring rolls on.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Can't wait to see you.
Thanks, Coach. Well, we'll take a commercial break here on the Sumner County Sports Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. When we come back, stay tuned for our Sumner County storylines and a little bit of some closing thoughts as we wrap up today's show.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good.
I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around. Didn't think there were any cops around. I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Cover your nose.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
And we're back on the Sumner County Sports Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans Drive Drunk. Give you a little bit of some Sumner County storylines to follow. Basketball season obviously wrapped up in the area with state tournaments wrapping up just a few weeks ago. It always feels like the winter closes just as the spring opens and everything becomes very crazy in regards to high school sports. But the all Sumner County basketball teams, as of Monday, I believe, released for the boys and girls side, the girls side being the most recent. Congrats to Beach's Riley Long on the girls side and Hendersonville's TJ Colby on the boys side, winning player of the year. It's really dominant performances on both sides. Now, given I was not in Sumner County during this time covering these schools, but just talking with coaches, talking with photographers, picking up nominations from coaches and emails, there were a consensus about TJ Colby and the work that he did to lead Hendersonville to the sectional round, kind of a Cinderella run for them. And on the girls' side, it really came down to Riley Long and Anu Richards of Station Camp, pretty evenly split among coach nominations. But you look at Beach and their district championship this year and think that gives them the edge a little bit. In total, we had 44 athletes named to our all Sumner County basketball teams, 22 on the girls' side, 22 on the boys'. For Hendersonville and the boys' team, there was a clean sweep. Say that 3 times fast. Ty Lanham was our defensive player of the year. Clancy Hall, a unanimous coach of the year selection. And Hendersonville, of course, winning team of the year on the girls' side. As you saw in those photos, our defensive player of the year was Aria Rice of Hendersonville. Our coach of the year, Greta Parker of Gallatin. And Gallatin winning team of the year, being runner-up in their district, but just winning 20-plus games. I believe they had 7 or 8 wins against Sumner County foes. Looking on the football side of things, third-year Station Camp coach Brent Alexander, in a bit of a surprising move last Tuesday, announced his resignation from the program. It's a really incredible job on Alexander's side when you look at what he did across the last 3 years at Hendersonville. Year 1 was difficult, but it was difficult for, I'd say, any coach in the mid-state, especially when taking over a program, because of it being the COVID year, being that first year filled with kind of balancing COVID tests and things of that nature. But last year, the Bison went 6-4. They missed the postseason, but that was an incredibly tough district. Wilson County teams, Mount Juliet, playing Green Hill, playing Malachi Dowell in White County. I'm sure any coach in that region would say that was a challenge for a season's worth in of itself. But, they were 8-3 in 2021. It was a 7-win improvement for their team. Really incredible stuff on their side. And you have to think that the person that takes over, the coach that takes over Station Camp football, is finding themselves in a pretty good spot with back-to-back winning seasons. And on top of that, you have a team that's moving down from 5A football to 4A. Of course, you're playing Pro Cone, you're playing Marshall County, you're playing really established programs in Greenbrier and White House. But I think most coaches in that 5A region would say, I'd rather take that over Green Hill, Wilson Central, Mount Juliet, etc. We're looking at Portland now. A little bit of Portland action, Portland love here. The Panthers saw 5 of their student athletes sign scholarship papers in a signing celebration last Friday. Lots of interesting stories within there. We start a little bit with Lily Clifton, who signed with Johnson University Women's Soccer. Her sister, she's there on the far left, her sister Ella plays with Johnson University Soccer right now, a former Portland player that signed with the Royals last year. So really cool to see those two reunite and play once again next year. Ella, I believe, started 5 games for Johnson. So you'd have to believe that there's a bit of a shot for Lily to get some playing time as well. Jenna Tolles, there to the right of Lily Clifton, a back-to-back cross-country qualifier for the state championships. She signed with Cumberland, top 50 finishes in both years for her. Incredible athlete, does a really good job on the basketball court as well. On the right side, Cullen Box, UT Martin commit for baseball, put pen to paper there. He had an incredible year last year, played a ton of different positions. He's done a good job catching this year for the Panthers in their start to the season, and he's done an incredible job pitching too. He's a really well-rounded player. Then to round out the last 2 there on the right, Freddie Paxton, Braylon Dallin, football players, signing with Lindsey Wilson and Bethel, respectively. Dallin Dallin was a leading tackler for Portland in his junior and senior seasons, had a great year at safety as a junior. And Paxton had over 3,200 all-purpose yards. He caught some, he ran some, he returned some, did a little bit of everything for the Panthers. But, kind of bouncing off of that, there's a big reflection to be had with those three players on the right. For Portland football, Box took his junior season off at Portland. He didn't play to focus on baseball and end up being a Division I commitment and signee. But he returned as a senior to play quarterback. Paxton and Dallin played both sides of the ball. And listen, this was a Portland team where in 5 of the last 10 seasons, they had 1 or 2 wins. They went 1-9 or 2-8 in 5 of the last 10 years. Hadn't won a playoff game since 2004. Hadn't had a winning season since 2012. You tip your cap to Wes Inman, who's now at Gallatin and making the transition there as an assistant coach, and to Box, Dallin, and Paxton, who all really put their heads together this senior season, battled through a difficult region, and gave the Panthers their first playoff win since 2004. Really exciting stuff there with that program. I'm sure that Hunter Hicks, who's taking over the football club for Portland, will do great things there, and he has a challenge set out for him, but there is a lot of hope to be had based on the season that they're coming off of. That's your Sumner County storylines. We're going to take one more commercial break here on the Sumner County Sports Show. When we come back, closing thoughts on Sumner County games to watch out for, players to watch out for. This is the Sumner County Sports Show brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good.
I thought I was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try. There aren't any cops around.
We're back on the Sumner County Sports Show.
Can't think there are any
Closing
cops
thoughts here
around.
brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
I drink and drive all the time.
Drive drunk. A few things
Sir.
to watch here.
Sir,
Sumner
you've been in a
County
serious crash. I need you to
talked
hang on,
with
okay?
Justin Martin and Hendersonville baseball there. We talked in our interview a little bit about Beach and Gallatin's district series kind of wrapping up today. That first game was a thriller. That one will be a fun one to watch. That's where I will be tonight. But if you can't make it out tonight, there's still some soccer to watch out for. Beach and Hendersonville on Tuesday should be a very fun soccer matchup between a district that is kind of open at this point. There hasn't been somebody who's ran away with it. And a quick shout out on the player side in our closing thoughts, Zane Brown of White House, who outpitched South Carolina commit Gavin King in White House's game yesterday at Liberty Creek. 7 innings pitched, just 2 earned runs and 15 strikeouts. Well, thank you for sticking along, hanging around for this last minute here on the Sumner County Sports Show. Really excited to get this thing going and excited to bring you highlights and storylines and interviews with coaches and players around Sumner County.